fancy intro music. Yeah! Woohoo!
Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're continuing our series here going through those uncommon G5 ships that obviously many of you are looking forward to, as so many more people are getting closer and closer to finally going G5. It's been a while, but it's been out, and now we have more and more people going up there, including, by the way, I don't know if y'all missed this, big things. I had to get real big for it. We're actually going to do a video with a new player going level 60. And yes, one of those people without an extra researcher and out an extra doc and all those other things, which is pretty impressive. But okay, that's future content. We'll worry about that after the arc launch and everything. But back to me, we're going to talk about this beauty right here. And you can see that my docs are getting loaded out with more and more Federation ships. I don't know what to make of this, because the Northcutt's the first Federation faction ship I have built since I free-to-play ground out my USS Kelvin. As you can see, I've got Tribunes, I've got Vorchas, and while I do have the specialty ships, a lot of my normal daily uses have been other things, but adding the Northcutt to the repertoire is something I'm excited about, and we're going to talk about it today. Go over basic crewing, go over thoughts, ideas, and more than anything, a paradigm shift I think some people in the game need when it comes to how do they acquire ships and when and why and how and everything. So let's get into that. Like the video if you do. So this is a tier 1 level 5 Northcutt. So you see fresh out the dock, you just saw her launch, and this is one of those things that I'm excited about because one, I actually like the design. Like, I don't normally harp on design too much, but as far as Federation ships go, normally I don't like Federation ship designs, like just ridiculous nacelles out here and a big saucer section like they're a UFO. I actually like designs more like this one, and this has inspiration from several different elements. I mean, you can clearly see with the phaser banks up here, the arrays themselves, the shape and the design, there's definitely some USS Prometheus love here. If you look at the actual body down here, very, very similar to the Enterprise E, Sovereign class, and the nacelles. Just several Star Trek elements thrown into it. And I love the swept wing formation that we got here. So I just like the design. It's neat. It's cool. It's not necessarily me saying, oh, the greatest ship, but more and more, one thing that I find so many more players in Star Trek are really desiring is fun with ships and just enjoying the ships for what they are. Now, as always, I do try to provide kind of like, I hate to call it a warning, but it's good to know the knowledge how pricey these things are to upgrade. And here's your upgrade list for the Northcutt. And of course, I've been talking about this for a long time, the 579 method. What does that mean? It does not mean that you're going to have a perfect ship at tier 5, tier 7, tier 9, but it's a solid path to follow for G4, G5, and G6 ships for various reasons. Unlocking things below decks in terms of like your officer slots, the actual cost of things, like not spending too much into uncommons, rares, and then eventually epics. And depending on what tier you want to go for, this is again the 579 method to get an idea of the raw cost. And the method kind of goes and it applies to the Northcutt. Tier 5 is for your level, you're going to handle everything that you need to handle at level 53 in this case. You don't necessarily expect to be amazing in Armadas and definitely not amazing PvP, but it's enough to spend a little bit of resources. And again, this is raw, so it doesn't count all the efficiencies that are out there. And I'll show you some of my upgrade costs here in a second. But it's still going to perform. And then you get tier 7, better warp range, better Armadas, and then finally tier 9 is where, depending on circumstances, you can expect to have a little bit of success, but keep in mind that that is very, very relative and more about FTs and crews. But in terms of cost at tier 1, you see I haven't done any parts, but you can see some of the costs right there. You can compare that, taking uncommon immediately. So if you do decide to build one of these, remember, wait for a weekend if you want to be efficient. But everybody wants that, so that's okay. But besides that, efficiency is kind of important. As far as total cost goes, yes, it is a pricey bird. And there are positives to it. So here's the upgrade cost if you wanted to max this out. Now, I don't max out any G5 ship. I don't recommend maxing them out, besides maybe the G5 epics, which you'll use heavily in G6. For any of our higher level players who are watching, I'm sure they can chime in down below and, repeat that, because it's something that's been passed along knowledge-wise for a long time. But your upgrade costs quite pricey, but there are benefits to going with interceptors. And let's go ahead and swing over here. So number 1 is going to be impulse speed. You can see I'm sitting at 193. Compare that to the Vorcha at 173. Clearly, the Northcutt is faster. If we go over to my Tribune at 160, you can faster that. 188 for the Defiant, and then 213 for the Talios, and that's an upgraded Talios. And then finally, 371 for the Pylum. Don't ask, she's beautiful. Lots of research. 188, 212. So, coming out the dock doing pretty well. Obviously, just upgrading impulse engines isn't necessarily going to make you faster, but might make you feel faster. So that's a thing. But come down here to your dodge, etc. It's not really doing anything for you, but it will get better with research if that's something you want to think about. Remember, interceptors tend to be faster than their explorer battleship counterparts. And as far as getting this thing, using it, how would you apply it? Well, the good thing is your standard hostile crews slap right on. In fact, your standard Armada crews slap right on. In fact, your secondary crews slap right on. So in terms of how to crew it, it doesn't really have anything unique and special. As far as PvP goes, well, the current PvP metas do apply. For example, I have this one here just as, representation, but how about we put some on the screen? How about a Northcutt taking down a Sanctus? And again, this is all about crewing. The Sanctus is not poorly crewed, but who's got the better research, who hit first? That's the classic run. And then you can even take a look at some of the newer crews, which makes some of the most outlandishly, that's not a bad thing, but like, look at that one. That's my friend Fred over here from server 20, taking down a Rotaran. And the Rotaran's not poorly crewed. That's the old meta. And the new meta ate its lunch. So, this is a ship that is capable, but again, it's about teaching players what matters. And I think what matters is capturing that fun factor. And sometimes just acquiring a new ship is the fun factor. Truthfully, is it better than the Corvus or the Vorchow? I mean, not really, and yes, at the same time. Because once you reach into these levels, I can argue you can do this argument in G4 as well, especially with those 46s. But it really comes down to just getting things that you enjoy. And if you're a Federation fan out there, then get the Northcutt and enjoy the Northcutt. It's going to be effective, right? Because everything's about things like this. This FT that I have, the time crystal that I got thanks to the Ferengi whip, that's going to dramatically improve the performance of my Vorcha. And then as you can see down here, I'm working on the red matter, so I can do the same thing with the Northcutt. And eventually, the Enterprise D, I can throw that on if I choose, or whatever FT I want to throw on. The truth is, you get a lot of value in this ship, and you get a lot of value from all the ships. It just comes down to, have you prepared yourself to go after them, and do you want them? And I will also encourage you to don't necessarily just be like Rep. Don't be a ship collector. Find ways they have value to you. So how does it have value to me? Well, simple. This is going to be, because I just enjoy it, it's going to be my standard hostile grinder for things like freebooters. Not because I don't have another ship that can do it. The Tribune does it extremely well. But as you progress through, it's nice to have things come out the dock and performing. And the thing with the Northcutt is it'll do everything that you need it to do for a daily. It'll do freebooters, it'll do silence, it has great warp range like a lot of the G5s do compared to using so older G4s, or maybe you would rather use your specialty ships, which is also okay. But so many of us love to use the FKR ships, those Federation Klingon Romulan ships, because, it's Star Trek. And I respect that there are non-Star Trek fans out there, but I bet most of you are Star Trek fans. I'm going to prove it right now. How? If you're watching this video, I want to know your favorite episode of Star Trek down in the comment section below. Am I driving engagement? Sure, but do I actually care? Also, yes. I'm a huge Star Trek fan, and I want to know what you think the Northcutt inspires you of. Normally, I would not have gotten a Northcutt, but as the time has gone on in this game, I really appreciate the design. I love it. It's very Star Trek-y. It's a good design for Federation, and if you remember that the designs I like are stuff like this. Like, I love the Defiant. Not a big fan of, say, let's just use this one, of half saucer section nacelle ship. This is an actual design. Or anybody talks about, oh, the Kelvin movies are terrible. This is based off a design from the original series. So, I just don't like the designs. But I love some of the unique, quirky things that we can find here. And again, this is a good ship that will handle anything that you want to do. It has the benefit of being faster simply because it's an interceptor. So it's going to have good speed. As you do more of the G5 researches, it'll get better in that regard. Just like the G4 ships got better. And again, depends on what you want to go after. I've got my speed crew over there on the pylon, but at the same time, the Northcutt can use that speed crew and have a fantastic advantage in that area. It's not going to blow your mind away. And I've tried to be clear that all these ships that I'm building, it's not for the purpose of maxing them out as that they're the greatest ships on Earth. It's to enjoy them for what they are, Star Trek. And the good news is they're viable. So they're not just about building them, you can actually use them. And depending on what you're doing, you can punch up very far, as this PvP example is. And I can go ahead and promise you, my Northcutt can go deep into the 4-star Q trials, which many of you are probably caring more about than this because not everybody's a PvPer. But in PvE, a Northcutt, Vorcha, and Corvus will definitely help you take further steps to maxing things out using Pipe Moro Chin and then Titan boosting and Cerritos boosting. So, if you like the Northcutt, well, let me know about it. Have you gotten one yourself? Are you planning on getting one? And before anybody asks, am I going to finish out the triplets? Well, maybe. Just maybe the Romulan Battle Axe might make an appearance on this channel. But let me know what video you want. If you have specific questions about the Northcutt, I mean, you can ask questions about that if you want to, but if you have specific questions about the Northcutt, drop them down below. I'll try to monitor this. You can also hit me up on the Discord or the Facebook page or the Twitter page, wherever, because I'm happy to help you out, and I love this community. This is an incredible group. So live long and plunder, stay safe for the Space Cowboys. Deuces, that's me. By the way, one last note here at the very end for those who do watch at the very end. By the way, thank you for doing that. It is my wife's birthday. Shh, keep it on the down low. But if you join my Discord, there's a little card that you can send her a happy birthday to. And she's really sweet. She deserves it. She puts up with me just like y'all do, but she has to do it all the time. You got to do it for 10 minutes. So anyway, appreciate y'all. Love y'all. I'll get out of your hair now.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.